to Unit 6, Lesson 12. This is the make for the traversals topic. So the objectives for this lesson are that you will be able to implement programming patterns with traversals to develop a functioning app, recognize the need for programming patterns with traversals as part of developing a functioning app, use debugging skills as part of developing an app, and write comments to clearly explain both the purpose and function of different segments of code within an app. And I am going to help you with that part. So for the past few lessons, we have learned a lot about using traversals to make apps that manipulate large amounts of information. In this lesson, the Make project, you'll be practicing processing lists and using programming patterns with traversals to create a functioning random forecaster app. So, the activity, we're just going to jump right on in, go to Lesson 12, Level 1 on Code Studio, and you're going to explore this app, okay? Click on Get Forecast. Click the button several times to see how the display changes and what information is needed to create this app, what list filtering patterns might be used, all right? And then you're going to recreate the app. So the list filter pattern is going to be very important, all right? You're going to have a digital activity guide again. Download that from Schoology before you get started. And don't forget to look at the rubric as you're going. I would honestly read it all the way through before you get started. Look at it as you're working. Look at it before you submit your activity guide, your project guide, okay? But let's look at this information first. All right, so I already played with it a little bit. All right, when you hit run, you click Get Forecast. All right, when you click it over and over, it gives you different forecasts, different cities, a high, a low, a picture, or an icon, technically, and then a condition. All right, and it tells you all of these things before you get started. All right, now it says, what's the weather tomorrow in, get the forecast. So what I'm going to do to kind of help you a little bit, okay, I'm going to move over to the coding page, and I am going to give you the comments that will help you kind of start off, or at least make it through somewhere where your app should be, okay? So you need to, actually I'm going to delete this part, okay? What you put here at the beginning stores columns of data from the weather table in lists. Now, doesn't that look, if we go back right here, doesn't that kind of look like this? This isn't from a table, okay, but it is storing it in lists. So think about how we got information from a table using the data tab, okay? All right, and then here, about here, so you're gonna wanna put that information up here. All right, about here, you're gonna create a variable that identifies which forecast number matches with tomorrow's weather. Now, after you create that variable, then you're going to filter your lists. How do you do that? Let's look back at this part, okay? Filtered lists. All right, in this example, they are starting in the function called filter. But no, here they are right here. This is where you create your filtered lists. All right, because these aren't created. All right, you have to create them first. And that's what that looks like. Then we're going to call filter. Now, it's telling me I have an issue, and that's because filter has not been declared yet. I'm going to leave that up to you. Then we're going to have an on event, and I'm going to let you decide, but this on event, that's where update screen happens. Okay, update screen hasn't been declared yet, right? Duh. I mean, practically the whole screen's blank. All right, but what is being clicked to update the screen? All right, I'm gonna let you work on that. Now, you will have to have a function that filters all of the lists, so only the forecasts for tomorrow, forecast number equals 1, are stored. So you need to create a function, right, that looks like this, similar to that, all right? Function, filter, open curly brace, and it automatically closes it for you if you're typing. And then you're going to have your for loop in here, if conditional if statement. All right, I'm just going to start it. All right, I'm not going to do a whole lot. For conditional if statement, all right, you're going to have to fill this part in. The if statement, all right, and then we need another curly brace right here. And then you have information coming through here that's happening based on this if statement. Okay, now I'm going to get lots of issues because this matches this matches that matches that. So these aren't super valid until I fill everything in. Okay, now after this bottom one, all right, this information is happening. So this is where I'm going to create my update screen function. Okay, that closes. I have to create this right here. All right, and then I have to have a bunch of other information in here after I create this variable. All right, now remember, this is to update the screen, so I need all of this information. No, this part is more for the filter. All right, so you might want to go back to one of the previous apps that you've looked at to see how they are updating the actually updating the screen. They're setting the text of these, whatever they're named, with an index value of a particular list. Okay, so if you use this as the bones for your app and you get everything working, these comments that I left, you can copy those comments and you will be able to check the comments off of your project. Okay, because comments are used to correctly explain the purpose and function of all on events and functions. All right, so we have one on event and we have two functions. All right, so good luck, and don't be afraid to ask your neighbor for a little bit of clarity if you need to, and I'll try to help you whenever I return.